Well, okay, it's 6 o'clock, and we're going to call the meeting to order. And we will start with our prayer by, where are you, James? James Shinko. If everyone will stand, please. Thank you, James. Chief, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Diane Sadler.
You're in charge next meeting.
All right. And we can do it. That's been 20 years ago.
Okay, next, Ms. Phillips, will you do a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Dale.
Present.
Alderman Elder.
I'm here.
Alderman Langford.
Here.
Alderman Linder.
Here.
Alderman Proctor.
Here.
Alderman Rubel.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. And next, we will approve the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Rex Dale and second by Alderman Bill Linder. Okay, next on the agenda, we have a public comment section, and I meant to have my public comment sign-up sheet at the door, and anyway, that's okay. So, if there are... Sorry, we're going to vote on the minutes to approve the minutes first. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. You always have to help me with that. Now let's go back. So the next on the agenda are the public comments. So if the public wants to make any comments, there may be more than one tonight, I'm not sure, but we are going to have those at this time, and I want to limit to 3 minutes, please. So anyone who wishes to start us out can come to the podium.
Proceed. Thank you. Okay. Good evening, Alderman, Mayor Burnett. Some of you may know me, but for those of you who don't, my name is Brian Lawhead. I'm a lifelong resident of Livingston, and I hope to one day be a practicing attorney here. I stand before you today to present to you a petition to have a speed bump or a speed hump installed on the western end of Zachary Street near Church Street. As it currently stands, on the eastern end, there's a speed hump as well as a sidewalk. This lack of infrastructure on the western end and the continued disregard for the speed limit in a residential zone allow room for an accident that could easily be avoided. Make no mistake, this is a problem that has persisted since I was a kid, whenever I moved in almost 15 years ago. Aside from the numerous pets lost throughout the years, my girlfriend had a close call where she was almost hit by a city cop who was speeding without his lights on, I might add. I've had neighbors tell me that they see people speeding through the neighborhood all the time, and there's not really much done about it whenever they call in. And myself, I've almost been hit pulling out of my driveway. I've almost been T-boned. There's a serious risk to pedestrians as well as children playing outside. With city cops being guilty of speeding through the neighborhood without their lights on, I have little hope that any relief would be achieved without a permanent fixture that would deter speeding on both sides of the law. Because of this, myself, as well as all other signees, respectfully demand that the city implement a speed bump or a speed hump on Zachary Street's western end. If a specific signature goal would make this more likely to go up for a vote, then I can try to meet that goal before the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Good evening. My name is Rita Richardson. I would like to first of all thank Overton County News for live streaming our city council meetings and for covering our government meetings in print and online. It was thanks to Overton County News that I was able to virtually attend the January meeting and learn about the proposal to change zoning that would allow billboards within our city limits. Secondly, I'd like to thank our city mayor and aldermen for selflessly serving our community, for hearing our concerns, and for representing us in the best interests of this community. We appreciate your service. My husband Tim and I retired here from Nashville almost 2 years ago. We began vacationing in the area in 2003, and since then have been passing through Livingston to get to our fish camp on the East Fork of the Obi River. Each time we came through town, we noticed that the town just got cuter and more charming. When it was time to choose a place to retire, that Livingston charm drew us here, and this is where we have settled. Tim and I have been small business owners for most of our adult life, so we understand the importance of marketing. We understand the importance of supporting our local businesses, and we understand why placing billboards on a bypass in town might seem like a good idea, but it's not. It will negatively impact the unique character of our town and natural areas, and potentially create the unattractive sprawl and eyesores that we see in larger towns and cities. I encourage fellow citizens of Livingston and Overton County to support our local businesses and to engage with and share their marketing efforts in social media and word of mouth so that they can prosper and so that we can preserve the historic natural beauty of this area. I urge you to vote no on billboards within the city limits. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
I think most in this room know who I am, but just in case, I'm Shannon Cantrell. I'm the president and CEO of the Chamber here in Livingston. And I know I won't be able to keep this to 3 minutes if I don't just read what I have written, so that's what I'm going to do. So I want to begin by acknowledging and respecting the concerns that have been raised by members of our community regarding billboards. It is clear that there's a strong desire to preserve the beauty of our town, and I share in that thought. Over the years, we've worked incredibly hard to enhance the charm and appeal of Livingston, and we want to see our town thrive. However, we also face a unique challenge. Our downtown, which has worked so hard to attract visitors, is not always seen by those passing through. As many of you know, our bypass, Bradford Hicks Drive, that runs through our area is usually the way Google Maps and most all GPS technology send visitors down the bypass and miss our downtown entirely. It is a situation we've been dealing with for years, and it affects not just the experience of tourists, but also our local businesses. For the past several years, our downtown businesses have asked for a solution. A sign at the bypass to direct traffic into our historic district. These businesses are eager to share what we have to offer with the world, but they are unable to do so if visitors can't find them. We've become a destination based on our growing tourism numbers, particularly through the summer months when tourists come to nearby Del Hollow Lake. But despite all that potential, we're losing out on countless opportunities to boost sales and bring in additional revenue. And this isn't just about the successes of individual businesses, it's about generating more sales tax revenue for our city and creating a sustainable future for all of us. There's no doubt that there is a place for beauty and function. We are working diligently on a wayfinding signage program that will provide permanent direction signs, and we are very excited about this. But there's a bigger opportunity to have more dynamic, visible signage that will promote events, tourist attractions, and special offerings from our downtown businesses. Billboards, when used, let's try that one more time. Billboards, when used strategically and sparingly, could provide the kind of exposure we need without overwhelming the landscape. One or two billboards thoughtfully positioned could provide our local businesses with the visibility they deserve. They would guide visitors directly into our downtown where they can enjoy our historic sites, restaurants, and local shops. This would not only help local business grow, but would also elevate our town as a tourism hub. That means more visitors, more local spending, and yes, more revenue to support further development and amenities for all of us. I do want to be clear, I'm not advocating for a multitude of billboards, nor am I advocating for a particular company. Like many of you, I'm very sensitive to maintaining the beauty of Livingston. But with careful planning and placement, one or two billboards in key areas could be a game changer for our downtown economy. I know many of you care deeply about this community and its future, and so do I. I also know that you want to see Livingston flourish and grow, both as a place to live and a destination for visitors. I just needed you to consider the positive impact that these billboards could have on businesses that rely on tourism and foot traffic. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Hey, my name is Tim Richardson. My claim to fame is I'm married to Rita. I wasn't prepared to talk tonight, but I just wanted to stand up and support Rita's position, and I think I speak for a lot of people in the room tonight when I say that I think we need to sort of slow down and pause and think about billboards. I mean, from what little research I've done on billboards, most of the benefit to the billboards are kind of accrue to the people who own the billboards and also to out-of-town businesses who are advertising in our community to drive people to other places. Billboards are expensive, and I'm just not sure that local small businesses necessarily going to be the ones sort of paying for the billboards, advertising on billboards, and I'm not sure they're going to benefit from the billboards. So I would just make those points. I'd also make the point that, again, I'm not an expert on this, but I've done a little research. I think we need to consider the property values. I think I've read some reports where wherever there's a concentration of billboards, property values around the billboards tend to go down. So that's something that I think we should consider as well. I guess that's it for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Hello, Mayor Alderman, or Mayor and Alderman. My name is Norm Osborne. My wife and I moved here in 2004 from upstate New York. It was country, just like this is country. we noticed a lot of animals getting hit, dogs, cats, and such. And we kind of joined with some other people from this area in 2009, and we started a group called SNP-OC, which is Spay Neuter Incentive Program, Overton County, to help people get their animals fixed. We talked with Curtis. At that time, Putnam County shelter in '09 was over $500,000 for a shelter. Curtis says, we can't do that, but we can help you get the animals fixed. Many years ago, he started in the first of the year giving us $1,000 to go towards spay and neuter. We're spending about $2,500 a month to the different veterinarians. Since we started in '09, we've done 1,697 female dogs spayed. Male dogs, 850. Female cats, 2,040. Male cats, 1,351. So since we started, we've done 5,938 animals. And as you know, dogs can have 2 litters a year, and they've got some pretty good sized litters. Cats, if they're serious, 3 litters a year. But I just wanted to come in and say thank you, folks, for helping us with our organization.
Thank you, Norm. I didn't introduce Norm. We actually had him on the agenda here for SNP Overton, but he does it. That's okay. That was good timing. Well, he does a lot for SNP Overton, and we appreciate all of y'all's efforts in helping with that program. Thanks so much. Okay, I think we're finished with the public comments section. So.
Over the councilman, maybe Dave Blanker was here 10 years ago, and I was asked by the Planning Commission to make a presentation on digital billboards. We're in the billboard business. We just completed our 40th year. We're in 21 Tennessee counties. But what I want to show you, if you go through this little book right here, you've got some things that what we could do with a sign particularly located out here on y'all's interstate. The only interstates you'll ever have is where Highway 52 and 111 meet. That is y'all's interstate. And what happens is on that interstate, if there's not something to get people downtown, they're basically on their way to Allgood and Cookville Walmart. They pass a Burger King and McDonald's on the way down there. And of course, I do live in Putnam County, and we're the benefactors of that. But we made a presentation about 10 years ago because we have a location right there. We're only interested in one sign, one digital sign on that location. We want 52 and 111 meet to put a digital sign there, and to permanently attach or affix the bottom of this sign an arrow that will direct people to historic downtown. Regulation is what makes the billboard business what it is. We're not talking about a bunch of billboards. We're talking about one community bulletin board, not only to advertise local business, but to promote downtown events. And these are just some of the things that we pulled off the website that might be advertised on a regular basis. The location of the sign is right there at Highway 52. I know y'all can't see that right there unless you've got x-ray vision or something. And 111, that would direct people right from Dale Hall Lake, all those areas right there where the money comes in, on the way to Cookville, on the way to Allgood, on the way to Walmart, try to get a few people to stop here in Livingston on the way down. I've got some numbers here on this sheet. These numbers are 10 years old. But I'm just going to read them off here. 52 and 111 intersection, 2015, 16,000 cars plus a day, 112,000 cars a week, 5,824,000 cars per year. A lot of those cars are going around the bypass I never see downtown. Now to show you something very similar, the junction of Highway 11 and 321 on the way to the Smoky Mountains in Lenore City, Tennessee. Probably one of the most expensive intersections in Tennessee, one of the most beautiful intersections in Tennessee. We did the same thing right there. In order for us to get that sign there, one of the things we agreed with the city is to have a permanent affixed sign at the bottom directing people to downtown, okay? Now, here's another thing that happens with digital billboards. One of the local banks, First National in Cookville, right next to the high school, bought, and I'm not guaranteed they'll do that, I can't speak to them at all, but they have bought one slot and they give it to the high school for their use 24/7 during the school year. Got one for Bank of Putnam County. Retail sales, we're advertising Livingston and Cookville also on the interstate. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll be brief. I'm Lee Amonette. I own Amonette's Eagle Auction and Real Estate. I'm here specifically only for a minor amendment to the temporary sign ordinance, which we already have in place. We all want the best Livingston we can have, and usually somewhere in the middle is where that happens. So there's going to be some give and take from all of us, and I understand that the city needs the ability to control and monitor signs for safety reasons, for presentation. There's a number of things that they need to be able to oversee. But the inability to post a real estate and auction sign primarily hurts your citizens more than it does the professionals. Those sellers are who you're impacting the most. As a professional, I'm going to find another means. I don't know that those sellers will benefit quite as much from it. So I believe that a minor amendment to only the temporary sign ordinance can accommodate the needs of all of your sellers as well as us as professionals and meet the goals of the city without causing your citizens to have a shortfall. So I ask, just don't think about the real estate auctioneers and the professionals. Think about the people that voted for you. Think about the people you're impacting when they get ready to sell their asset and they can't properly advertise it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
Hi, I'm Barbie Roberts. I really hadn't planned on talking tonight, but a couple of things I thought about as people were speaking. First of all, with Shannon and the sign issue of the signs to direct people to downtown. And I know that you all have been working on signage, a grant to do that. So I thought that's what the whole thing was with getting that grant. The second thing is with Mr. Rowland, he says one sign, one billboard. But what about the other companies? If other companies want to come in, are there going to be 2 or 3 or 4 billboards? I mean, we can't just say Roland can have a billboard. What about everybody else? What about what they put on that sign? You could say anything if you pay for it. So I think there needs to be more thought to what makes Livingston so beautiful, so wonderful. We're all so proud of it. And I think we're proud of it because we like it like it is. That's all. Thanks.
Thanks, Barbie. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to move on from the public comment section and go on to additions or deletions to the agenda. And I do have one addition to the agenda, and it is ADAM, which stands for Assurance Development and Management Corporation, and Ken Mayberry and Earl Carwile are here to present that, so I'm going to add that to the agenda, and we'll make it item number 6, okay? Do I have a motion?
Is there any other additions or deletions?
I second.
Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda?
Oh, no.
If no others, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion to add Adam to the agenda, item number 6. Motion made by Rex Dell and second by Bruce Elder. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. So we will make you item number 6. Okay. We're going to, we have a resolution that needed a number corrected on, so we were going to go ahead and read that, so we're getting that corrected number right now. We had been on the site development grant. Ray Evans was here, and he got the board to approve an amount of money to move forward, and we had a typo. There was one number at the top and that we read, and the second number was lower, and that's the one that we approved. So whenever we get this resolution in here to get the corrected number, then we will get that taken care of. So thanks for pointing that out. So let's go on to the sign ordinance while Phyllis is getting that for us. So I'm going to open the floor up for discussion.
I'd like to say that I'm really glad that we have got this discussion open to the public, because I really didn't know where this was going. And I've heard from lots of people on the negative and the positive. And I appreciate everybody's comments tonight that they've made. I've heard from all sides. I've had, and I'll have to say, on the billboard ordinance, I've had some negative comments, and I just, moreover, it's a, I'm not sure exactly how we need to handle that part of it, but as the last lady that spoke, I'm not sure exactly how we do just one and not have many others want to get their billboards on there too. I'm not sure, but that's kind of a taunting task, but that's a tough deal. I've had lots of negative comments on the billboards from lots of citizens from the community. I personally, I'm going to say this, don't have a huge problem with it, but I don't want a lot of them. I don't want but a couple of them, and I don't think we can do one or two without doing more than a bunch. So on the billboards, I'm still passing judgment on it. On the other signs that we've got around town, I think we've got, as Mr. Amonette said, that's kind of how they advertise their product and direct you to where they're going to sell your goods. And I think that we have a duty to allow people to sell their real estate, and people be notified about it. So there's some amendments in the ordinance that we have that I think probably needs to be changed to get those things done. But I'll let anybody else comment from here.
No.
I think the state, a lot of times,
What I'm saying, if the state has an ordinance, we have an ordinance, why don't Walter notify the state?
That may be one way.
yeah, the state pretty much has kind of overlooked it over the last few years around here. So, I mean, I don't know.
They don't election signs, I know.
Well, I don't know about election signs. I can't answer that question.
Sure. I passed out a piece of paper to all of you, and I want to be sure what I'm voting on and discussing. There's 3 different sizes of signs. The only one we care about is the temporary that's in C1 and C3 districts, or any district other than C2. But we want to increase from 12 square feet to 24 square feet. Is that correct? Everybody kind of agree with me?
Yes.
And then we want to make an amendment that lets it be in our right-of-way. That's the 2 things we've got up here that we've been talking about.
And it's reduced from 120 days to 30 days.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. Now,
Why from 120 to 30?
That makes it temporary.
What's temporary already?
Well,
I don't get
30 days makes it more palatable, probably.
I don't get it. I mean, if 120 days is temporary, why are we even messing with it?
They go down quicker.
Our signs are taking miss.
Are we taking them or the state?
Apparently we have.
The city is
Yes.
enforcing the ordinances that are on the books. Yes. If they're in the right-of-way right now, our sign ordinance does not allow them, the way that it was passed in August, they're not allowed in the right-of-way. So if they're in the right-of-way and they're violating our ordinance, the city is removing them.
if I remember right, it says 50 feet behind the right-of-way, the sign, temporary signs.
10 feet, isn't it?
Hmm?
Huh?
It's 11 feet.
Is it 11 feet?
Yeah.
But
That's right, it's 10 feet off the roadside.
I was thinking that's what we said last week.
Right. And one other point of clarification, right now, temporary signs in the ordinance are 6 square feet. There is a provision for ground signs and portable signs in C and I districts to be 12 square feet, but nowhere are temporary signs allowed to be 12 square feet. So it's 6 square feet in all districts is temporary signs.
Can you say that again, Andre?
But portable signs are 12 square feet.
Portable sign is different from a temporary sign.
Yeah, I agree. But what we were saying in previous meetings, we were talking about portable signs that can be put in the ground and then moved.
I think what we were talking about was temporary signs, like yard signs or auction signs that you might hammer into the ground. Portable signs, I think, are more like sidewalk signs with wheels on it, or a sandwich board type thing. I think is what I think of more when I think of portable signs. Temporary signs, I think of like a yard sign or a campaign sign, something like that.
Well, I disagree with you a little bit there, Andre, because when Bruce first started this, we were talking about 12 square feet. And then you wanted to get a 6x4, which turns out to be 24 square feet. And that has nothing to do with the temporary sign. That's on the portable sign.
Is a real estate sign a temporary or a portable?
It doesn't matter what kind of sign it is, right? I don't know. What's it made out of is the question. It could be a temporary sign, it could be a portable sign, or it could be both maybe.
Well, let's look at what started all this anyway. Lee Eminette is a great guy, and he's a good citizen up there in Birdtown. But his signs were what, Lee, can tell me?
4 wide, 6 tall would be the biggest.
Well, yeah.
Most of them are
And
4 by
that's
5.
kind of the signs that we were talking about, because his was the signs that were removed.
And that would be temporary, not portable, in the definitions. Solely temporary by definition. If you read your definitions, there's some ambiguity depending on what it's manufactured for, and if it's got wheels, or if it's got posts, or so forth. But if you go to look at prohibited uses, it's a temporary sign. You define it there by use.
Well, in that case, it's down to, what,
6.
3 square feet?
6 square feet.
6?
6 square feet.
Okay. That, by the way, up here is a 6x4 sign, 24 square foot. But now, I don't know if it'd be a temporary sign if I put wheels on it or what, but.
It's all complicated.
It's very complicated, isn't it,
It's awful, yes. Mhm.
Well, the bottom line we have here is, we got to decide whether we want signs in our right-of-ways in the city of Livingston, period. And we cannot control content. So if we allow temporary signs, whatever area that they're in, we can, like Rex said the other day, we can have 50 signs in one area that are 4 by 6 in this area that we're talking about in our right-of-ways. So that's really what we're looking at, and that's what we have to decide whether we're going to allow something like that in the city of Livingston.
Well, I
So.
don't think that's gonna happen, but, anyway, that's.
And again, we can't control, again, we can't control the content of the message. So I know everybody wants to make an exception for real estate signs or directional signs, specifically real estate and auction signs. We just can't do that. All we can regulate is temporary signs within the right-of-way. If we allow temporary signs in the right-of-way, we have to allow all kinds of temporary signs regardless of what the message is, regardless of whether it's an auction sign or a real estate sign. So I think Mayor Burnett is correct when the bottom line is we need to decide whether we're going to allow those types of signs within the right-of-way or not.
Also, the off-premise sign, it negates an off-premise, at this point, an off-premise sign is the tax parcel, the person that owns the tax parcel can have one off-premise sign, directional sign, currently in the city of Livingston, correct?
It's not limited to directional, but
Well, or just one off-premise sign.
if there is an establishment, a place of business, a service, a product offered on one tax parcel, and there's a sign somewhere off of that tax parcel that that directs attention to that service or business that's provided on the original tax parcel, that's an off-premise sign, and you can only have one of those.
So if we allow temporary signs to go up, those people can now put signs also, or still per our ordinance, it's just one?
No, you're still only allowed one off-premise sign, regardless of whether it's temporary, portable, a ground sign, or anything else.
Okay, I think there was some confusion around that, so I wanted to.
Well, you could have a off-premise sign that is a temporary sign.
And there's also Rex brought it up last time about paying for a temporary sign and have a permit for that. I believe you brought that up, so that would bring some revenue into the city also, so just.
As the ordinance is written, every sign is required to have a permit, but I don't think there's a cost associated with that.
No, but we could
You
put
can
that
make
in. Mhm, yes.
All right, so I'm just gonna, evidently sign ordinance is way more complicated than we expected. Can we table again for, let's say, 2 months, and let's try to get our ducks in a row before we talk about it and make any actions? I don't want to change it 4 different times and everybody be confused again. So I'm gonna make a motion to table it again for 2 more months.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to table the discussion of the sign ordinance for 2 more months. And I have a motion by Rexdale, Alderman Rexdale, and a second by Alderman Bill Linder. Any other discussion?
Why don't we just bite the bullet? We talked about this for 4 meetings, well, 3 meetings and 1 workshop or work session. I don't think there's a one of us, if we voted right now, I don't think there's a one of us that will change our vote between now and next month.
I know, but we don't even know what we're voting on right now.
That's the problem. It doesn't matter. I'm saying we will not, none of us will change our vote in another month.
Well, I think if we table it, we need to come with a very specific plan on where the signs should be, the size of the signs. Because right now, we're still all over the place about, you know, what we want, or are we going to pay a permit, or, you know, what are we going to, we need some more specifics if we're going to propose something.
In the next 2 months, how are we going to propose the signs? Keep doing what we're doing? Or as removing them?
We will be enforcing the sign ordinance as it is on the books right now until something changes.
For the next 60 days.
Correct. I say we take a vote on tabling the sign ordinance.
You got a motion in a second, so.
We got a motion and a second, so let's do a roll call. Ms. Phyllis?
Alderman Elder,
Yes.
Alderman Langford,
No.
Alderman Linder,
Yes.
Alderman Proctor,
No.
Alderman Rubel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dale.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. Moving right along, or let's move backwards for one quick moment. And I actually misstated, it was not the site development grant. We're going back to the resolution correction from, Resolution 2024-12-1. The corrected amount it was a resolution authoring the mayor to enter into an agreement accepting additional funding for a 2019 TDOT multimodal access grant and committing to the matching funds. The correct amount of money that we were asking for is $27,571.63. So does anyone have a motion to accept that amount of money that's corrected from what was stated before?
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept this corrected amount of money from Alderman Rex Dale and a second from Lance Rubel. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next we're going to go down to new business, and we have downtown revitalization with Jean. Are you still here? Okay.
And I'm not going to talk about signs. So I gave everybody a copy of our budget that we finally got prepared. Took us a little while because we do have a lot of projects going on and there's a lot of moving parts. But we've got what we think is captured all the expenses we're going to have for this year. So once you look over, I'd like for y'all to consider approving that budget, please. And if you have questions, let me know.
Gene, I thought we got a little bit more money in that grant for the wayfinding. Did we just get 15,000?
No, that's the match that we're budgeted for the match. And there is a $20,000 for lamp posts in the city parking lot. It's dark at night, so for everybody's safety and to get more use out of it, we need to put some lighting up there.
And that's the parking lot across from the barber shop on Main Street.
Yes.
Ray is still working on all these projects. That's the reason that he's getting paid.
Correct, yes.
Okay, all right. And I assume.
Actually, I think he works on all the city projects, but the majority of them are downtown redevelopment right now.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion on the table by Alderman Rex Dale to approve the downtown revitalization budget and a second by Bruce Elder. Is there any discussion? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor of approving the downtown revitalization budget, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
I have a few more additional things, project updates that Ray sent us today. First one is the Broad and Main Street sidewalks, multimodal access grant. We had two remaining hurdles before we can start the bidding. The first one is the right-of-way certification. The second one is the availability of federal funds, since they've been stopped for right now anyway. We're working with TDOT to work on the certification issues, but we don't know what to do about the holding of funds right now. We'll have to wait and see on that, what the outcome is. The next one is the courthouse grant project. We finally got it to the point where we could move forward, and we're waiting on the state to tell us we can move forward. But again, there is a problem with the possibility that the funds are not going to be available again because it comes from federal funds. So that's on hold as well. Once we know the answer to that, we've been told we could go ahead and do the bid and get started. The Cedar and Little Street project for that we've talked about, a Transportation Alternatives Program grant. We did meet with the TDOT staff on January 16th. They felt comfortable that our current construction bid, our budget estimate was correct or within reason. And we've asked them to approve Barge Design as the engineering consultant for the project. The traffic signal, there's no report on that. That's something the state's doing that we don't know when they're going to do that. Then the last thing I want to note here is that we are on the TDOT list to have bid letting for repaving of Broad Street and Main Street. And so we're working on with TDOT to coordinate that. But that should be in February. They're going to let those bids. So it looks like we're going to have a lot of construction on the square, every sidewalk, and road paving all at the same time.
And then it's going to look beautiful.
And then it's going to look beautiful, beautifuler.
That's right. All right.
And that's all I have tonight. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Gene.
Sorry.
Shannon, are you? Okay, okay. All right, perfect. Okay, then next we have Jason Duke for an airport update.
I am not here to talk about signs or billboards.
Hey, let's talk about airport.
I'm here to advocate for airplanes. That's right. Can't have it, it's too tall. All right, so good evening, Alderman, Mayor. About twice a year, I appear and give you an update on what's going on at the airport. So as the airport board chairperson, I work between the pilots and the state and the FAA and the county commission and the city alderman for the great price of free. So I'm going to give you an update on what we've got going on right now. So first off, the fencing project. This is not True North. True North is about this way. The airport runway runs on a compass northeast to southwest. So we have been required by the FAA to have, they have this runway obstacle clearance area, and so it's 50 feet. We're having to move the fence back, and then because of wildlife issues, it's 50 more feet. So it's 100 feet. So we've been purchasing land on it's the southeast side of the runway to be able to move the fence back 50 feet and then clear 50 feet behind it. So what this is, we've already done the acquisition for, this is where Bill White Lane comes around and comes back almost to the runway. This has all been acquired, and we're working on this last segment right there for acquisition. Once that acquisition's complete, then we'll do bids on the clearing and the bids on the fencing. This is mandated by the FAA, and 95% of all the funding for this is coming from federal and state as well. It's taken a while because, as y'all know, government moves slow. And so we've gone through many things, COVID, lots of difficulties in the funding on the project, but I will see this through. And then I'll give you some pricing and stuff on the end. I'm most excited about the airport terminal renovation, our 1968 airport terminal. It's called a lean-to. You've got the main hangar and you've got the lean-to area. You see that going up Airport Road. Our airport terminal looks the same as the one at Jamestown, the one at Smithville, all the ones built in the 60s. It was designed to be a maintenance facility. It was not designed to be a beautiful terminal for business people to come into and pilots to be or anything like that. So our 1966 to 67 building is still wired with plexiglass windows and ceilings like it's 1967. So for a business, it's not been, we've maintained it well, but it needs to be completely renovated. And the greatest thing about this is the bipartisan infrastructure law money, which is now going into year 5, has been allotted, and we were able to apply and get the maximum grant possible. So we're going to be able to pay for 95% of the entire project off of state and federal funds, which is unbelievable. And I'll show you what we're going to have to pay for our share at the end. And what this is going to do is I'll show you one more artist rendition. Inside is the current office, ends about here. It's this left side. It's going to go all the way across. It's going to double the office size. It's going to take, we have to currently go through the security fence to get in one single man door. We're going to add a nice double door. It's going to be a nice glass approach. It's going to be just a beautiful entrance. It looks like what you would expect when you come into an airport if you're a business person. It's going to really open up the space. For example, in the kitchen too, the kitchen currently consists of beautiful shag carpet below the cabinets. It was put there in 1967. It's very nice if y'all want a piece of it. And so we're going to be able to completely gut the kitchen and everything in the building. We're talking bathrooms. The entire building will be renovated inside. New siding, new windows, new HVAC system, everything. It will be completely renovated. It paid for 95%. And when people come to me and say, well, I'd love to have that money for something else, this money comes from fuel taxes. It has to be used at airports. That's the only place it can be used. And if we weren't trying to get this money, other airports would get this money. We're not taking money away from anything other than other airports that did not win the same grant proposal that we did. Next project is the fuel farm relocation. The current fuel farm sits here. That's Airport Road. You can see it from Airport Road. The fuel farm used to be, just off the map. That's the current terminal building. It was over here. We had to move the fence years ago when we moved the taxiway. The state told us that a great place to put the fuel farm was here. It's all we had. But since then now we have large twin-engine aircraft, we have jet aircraft, we have a lot larger planes than we had 20 years ago, and those planes cannot fuel there. So therefore they go to Sparta White, well, it's just Cookeville Airport now. They go to Crossville, they go to other airports that have larger fuel service areas. So in the picture you can see now, piston aircraft fuel right here, jet aircraft fuel out here. You got a 3 to 5% slope here. Jet aircraft need to be level when they're center point fueled, so they will not buy fuel at the Livingston Airport. So we're going to have to move the fuel farm from here to the other side of the T hangar. And when we make the move, we're going to also paint the tanks, replace all the gaskets, seals, service everything. It's not just a move, it's a complete renovation of the current fueling system that we have now. So we just finished the wetland mitigation project study where we did a new wetland survey at the airport. Wetland areas are in light green. For example, now we only have a taxiway that goes from just 1,000 feet of the runway. We have no taxiway for 4,000 feet of the runway, which is a safety issue. And I'm going to try to see through a parallel taxiway to be constructed. And that will be, like I've shown in the past, will be built back off the wetland area to not take out the wetland area for mitigation and minimize impacts to wetlands. So I'll show you more of a taxiway goes through here. That's Bill White Lane. The taxiway will go through here, bend down, and come down this way. So I'll give you an update of that later. But we had to do a wetland study for the wetland mitigation project that's required for that. We also was able to get 75% funding for grounds maintenance equipment. Can be tractors, mowers, weed eaters, chainsaws, anything at the airport. And so I was able to apply for this where we can get, if we can spend up to a total of $80,000. So if we buy up to $80,000 of equipment, $60,000 of that will be paid by state funds. And this is hard to get. It's only good every so many years. And so we have this available to us for 4 years. So that's going to pay for up to 75% of our equipment purchases at the airport. And to sum it up, let's always talk about time and money. So the fuel farm, first thing here, construction on it, the bids have already been received and awarded. We expect the project to start in March of 25. That required multiple trips by me to Nashville to present to the Aeronautics Board. We've had several state delays, slowdowns. You folks know what I'm talking about. And so we're going to start, I think in March, and we should be done by July, which will be an amazing project to finish. And plus it's so amazing because it's funded primarily by state funds. The second thing, the terminal rehab. The terminal rehab, so this bipartisan infrastructure law money, Tennessee is what's called a FAA block grant state. So in Tennessee, The federal government gives all the grant money to the FAA. The office is in Memphis. They take the money by block and dole it out every year to Tennessee Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division, and then they dole it out to us. So we have an extra person in between, which kind of slows it down. So we are right now working on, bids will go out soon for the terminal rehab. We already have final design, and then we hope to start in June and have that done at the end of this year. That's the plan. Note the star there, though, that says specific date unknown due to TDOT grant issuance. So TDOT, they have 4 times a year. We go to Nashville, make the presentation. If they slide us, it may slide us 3 months, but it's going to get done. But that's the current plan right now. I mentioned the equipment grant. We can make that purchase or not, but why would you not want to buy equipment that we use every day that's paid for 75%? That's kind of a no-brainer. And then the wetland mitigation, we have the study done, so now we're going to work on wetland mitigation for the projects. And the last thing is people want to know, what does it cost? The fuel farm reconstruction is about $470,000 that will be paid by the state, and we only have to pay $24,000, which is split between the city and the county, because the city and the county maintain the airport for funding for projects. So it's going to cost us $12,300 for the fuel farm move, which if you haven't moved 10,000 gallon fuel tanks and all the stuff that goes with them, that's a bargain for us. And we will recoup in fuel sales difference that within less than a year. It'll be a big difference for us. The terminal rehab, my favorite project. Out of almost $800,000, we're going to get $556,000 from the state. We've got our state grant and our federal grant together here with those. The local share right there is $46,000, split between the city and the county. We're going to pay $46,000 total for almost $800,000 project to completely rehabilitate that hangar and make it into a nice terminal. So, and we need it. I know people say it's a country club. I'm sorry. It's where Air Evac flies a King Air into. It's where businesses fly parts into. The majority of our traffic is commercial at that airport. And if you don't know it, people should go hang out there because everybody attacks me at some rich country club. Boy, I wish it was. It's where doctors fly into to come to the hospital. It's where businesses fly parts into and stuff. Our airport serves, there's no airport in Pickett County or Clay County, and the Jackson County runway is pray before you land because there's no lights and no fuel. So Livingston serves about 4 counties, not just Overton County. And then the wetland mitigation project, which we have to do the wetland mitigation study, it's $110,000. The state's paying $5,500, and then local shares $5,500, and the federal share is paying most of it. So what y'all can see, when I talk about $1 million project at the airport, that's $50,000 local share, 25 city, 25 county. So this money's available. A lot of small airports like ours don't go compete for it because it's a whole lot of work to get this stuff done. And so that's been advantageous for us. So I will take your questions, love, hate mail.
Will the airport be open during the construction?
What construction?
For the terminals and the fuel farm move.
Oh yeah, the terminal will be open, but it'll just maybe one room.
And so there will still be fuel, the airport will still be open then?
We will have no fuel for about 2 weeks. Because we have to move the tanks. So it'll be, well, they say 2 weeks. We want it down as little time as possible.
Are these improvements in our budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saving you money because the government's so slow. I'm getting like 3 years of budget for only one time. So I've saved you 67% due to government slowdowns.
And I think all these were voted on.
Sorry, I've worked for the government 35 years. I'm sorry, I've got some dry humor there.
And I think all these were approved a
Yes.
long time ago.
Yeah, I just
So
want to
think
give you an
they've been-
update
yes,
for what's going on.
Yeah. Jason, we appreciate all of your assistance with the airport. Thanks for that presentation. Okay, next on the list is an ordinance for rezoning the Campbell property. It is ordinance number 2025-2-1. It's an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the town of Livingston as adopted by this ordinance, and as since amended to change the zoning classification of the Campbell property at 735 Preston Street from R2 High Density Residential to C1 Local Commercial. Whereas the Municipal Planning Commission of the Town of Livingston recommended at the June 28, 2025 meeting to rezone the Cody Campbell property cited at 735 Preston Street, further described as Overton County Tax Map 045J, Group A and Parcel 003.00 from R2 to C1. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the Town of Livingston. Section 1, the zoning classification of the Cody Campbell property at 735 Preston Street from R2 High Density Residential to C1 Local Commercial. Section 2, this ordinance will become effective 30 days after the second reading of the rezoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to? Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion by David Langford and a second by Bruce Elder. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the demolition proposals for a slum property, which we've had some discussions about this evening. So,
I'll wait till you get to see the timeline. So as you can see that a notice went out 9/30/2024. It was received and signed for by Mr. Skiba. And then there was a hearing held on 10/15/2024 at 10:30. There was no attendance from Mr. Skiba or any representative. At that time, I went out and put a condemned notice on the front door of the house. On 10/15/2024 and 10/23/2024, I called 4 different numbers that we could find that was associated with Mr. Skiba, left messages, and never received any return phone calls. Then on 1/31/2025, actually 12/2/2024, I sent out an order, and that order was to either repair or demolish. With that, Mr. Skiba had to 1/31/2025 to have that done. Once again, we got the verification that he did sign for the notice, but then no communication. Then that's why we're bringing it before you now to vote on which quote that you want to go with. I reached out to 4 different companies to get quotes. You'll see that a couple companies gave 2 different quotes. Reason being, I had made sure that they all understood that there may be potential asbestos there. So with the asbestos abatement, some of the quotes were a little higher. Also, you see on the timeline that I gave you, I also gave you some additional history in regards to this property. There was a notice of violation letter sent back on 8/4/2021 and signed for by Mr. Skiba. There was also a hearing held on 8/26/2021 and at 1 p.m. and Mr. Skiba did not attend or a representative. So.
We did get a phone call from Mr. Skiba just this afternoon and not heard from him this whole time. And so I did tell him we were going to call him back tomorrow. He did have some things in the property, but he is not necessarily against the demolition, but we are going to call him to get more details tomorrow. But tonight, I think what we want to do is, if everything goes as planned and he doesn't come up with something different that we need to discuss is just to get approval to accept the lowest bidder for the demolition.
Lowest and/or best bid. It doesn't necessarily have to be the lowest.
Right, right.
So once the demolition is complete, now, who has ownership of the property?
Same person.
Same person still does?
Just the dangerous structure is removed.
And we have a lien on the property for the amount of the demolition.
That's right.
Approximate worth of the property?
Right, but I'm sure it'll cover the cost of the demolition.
Also with those proposals, I only had them quote just the demolition, to try to keep the cost down. The city, I was gonna have the city go in and actually put, straw and seed down. Just try to keep it at bare minimum, so.
How long will we keep a lien on it before the city gets it or he get it back?
I used to say it's sold at Dorothy's office. I guess it'd be sold at Dorothy's office at the,
Right.
yeah, the courthouse. Yeah, okay, all right.
And also keep in mind, the property has become a safety hazard. There's multiple sheets of metal that has blown off the roof. I've picked those up out of the yard, so it is definitely becoming more and more a safety hazard.
I'll make the motion, the lowest bid.
He wasn't, but we are going to have more discussion tomorrow for, if he wants to do something to get into compliance at this point, we wouldn't.
He's not responded to anything we've asked him until the last day, though. This is ridiculous. I mean, anyway, I think it needs to be done.
I made the motion.
I'll second it.
Well, and again,
That's what I was gonna ask. MKL is the lowest, but does that include, removal of the, debris and all that too?
That is correct. Yeah, whenever they are finished with any of these bids, you'll just have a empty lot, and then the city will go in and spread seed and straw.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table by Alderman Bill Linder. Do I have a second to accept the MKL excavation? Oh, you did second, sorry, and a second by Bruce Elder. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? All opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion passes. Okay, last but not least. Ken, are you still here? You're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Board, and my name's Ken Mayberry. I'm here representing, along with Earl Carwile, the Board of Directors of the Adam Corporation. A little background on Adam. It is a nonprofit that's been here in Livingston. Started about 10 years ago. In the last 3 or 4 years, we've started building single-family homes in the city limits. I've been selling those, sold a couple to veterans and one to first-time home buyer. We've actually constructed 4, sold 3. And come Thursday, the state of Tennessee Housing Development Agency is opening up a grant application for a home ownership program, and we're wanting to apply for it. We're going to try to apply, I think we're going to try to apply for 5 single-family homes that we're going to try to get funds for to build. We're looking to get about $1 million out of this grant if successful. And if you all, excuse me, that were here when your last home rehabilitation grant came through, you probably know a little bit about that application process. Everything's about scoring points. On this application, one of the big things that would get us 10 points is having a public-private partnership, and that's what brings us here with you today. What the state wants to see is they want to see affordable housing. They know we're wanting to do affordable housing, home sales and rentals and that type of thing. They want to see the city is wanting to invest in it. And with that, we come before you asking if we get this grant, we would like for you to waive the building permits on these 5 homes. These 5 homes will be built, sold to low-income individuals or families. And once we get that money back from the sale, we'll turn around and build 5, hopefully 5 more homes, maybe 4. But we're asking you to buy in on the front end of this grant application and allow Mayor Burnett to sign the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that would give your approval for this, and then that'll be part of our grant application. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, but I'll be happy to take some questions because I'm usually not real clear.
What's our typical fee for that?
$900 per
I
house.
had figured that would come out to about $900, which you would recapture your first year after sale and property taxes.
I make a motion that we waive the fee.
I'll second it.
Yeah, okay. So we have a motion on the table to waive the fee for the 5 Assurance Development and Management Corporation houses that they're proposing to build. Motion made by Bruce Elder, seconded by Arno Proctor. Any more discussion?
Just clarification, should the motion be to enter the memorandum of understanding instead of just waiving 5 building permits?
Yeah, probably.
Yes, yes. Should we not state it, though, to include waiving of the permits? Okay, okay, all right. Okay, so Rex just restated that we are, the motion has been made to approve the memorandum of understanding between Adam and the City of Livingston. Okay, any other discussion?
Mayor, I'm not sure that the council has authority to waive the building permit fee on a case-by-case basis. That may be the case. And I'm not saying you can't pass this tonight, approve this tonight, but I would approve it subject to review of council and approval that everything is.
We did discuss that the other day. That was something that we probably needed to add, was to send it through you, and I forgot to add that as well. So
I'm fine with it as long as it's legal.
Okay. All right. So
well, to ease everybody's mind, it's actually stated in the application as one of the public-private partnership definitions by THDA, so.
If that's the case, then I'll look into it, but I wasn't prepared for this question tonight, so I just want to make sure that I'll look into it.
So motion will now be approve the memorandum of understanding as long as it's subject to legality.
did you make a motion? Was that a new motion?
Yep,
Do I
new
have a
motion.
second?
Second.
Okay. So we have a new motion made by Rex Dale to amend what we had said previously, and Bruce has seconded it, to approve the memorandum of understanding pending council review. Okay, so let's put it to a vote. All in favor? Okay, all opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Okay, any other business? Okay.
I got one clarification before I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
On the sign ordinance, I think it's pretty clear that the vast majority of the board is not going to change the billboard portion of the sign ordinance. This retabling was more for the temporary or partial signs. Just a heads up. And I will make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? All opposed? Don't you dare.